A hearty welcome, a hearty morning, and a warm welcome to everyone joining us today for the International Media Conference, the ICAN6 2023.
I am Mihika Singupta.
And I am Gunjan Sachdeva, and we are PhD scholars at the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, MRIIRS. We are extremely delighted for this opportunity to be the Sutradhar of today's event organized by the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, School of Media Studies and Humanities, Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, the only A++ accredited private university in Delhi-NCR in association with Delhi Metropolitan Education affiliation to GGSIP University, Delhi and Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia.
The International Media Conference, ICAN6, is a collaborative effort between Delhi Metropolitan Education and Deakin University, Australia. The conference is supported by the Indian Council of Social Science Research, ICSSR, the International Association for Media and Communication Research, Daffodil International University, Dhaka, Deakin University, and the Global Media Education Council, who have partnered with us to make this conference a resounding success. The core objective behind organizing these international conferences is to provide a platform for researchers, academicians, and students to showcase their research work, engage in academic discourse, and foster collaboration. Through technical sessions, plenary sessions, panel discussions, master classes, and workshops, this conference will facilitate an exchange of ideas and stimulate innovation. By bringing together academia and industry professionals, we hope to generate new insights that contribute to the betterment of society.
This year, the theme of the conference is Identity, Culture and Agenda-Driven Newscast. And for the past 3 years, the theme has been explored, discussed and analyzed through research paper presentations, master classes, by subject experts and panels by industry stalwarts. Today is the 4th day of the conference, ICAN6, where scholars, academicians and students have gathered to learn and share their valuable insights and contribute to the field of media studies.
Before we begin with our main program, we would like to begin with the traditional lamp lighting ceremony, symbolizing the dispelling of darkness and the acquisition of knowledge in our Indian tradition. This ritual signifies our commitment to illuminating minds and fostering a spirit of learning and enlightenment. I would request the dignitaries to kindly come up on stage for the lamp lighting ceremony.
Varide, Varide.
We are privileged to have esteemed dignitaries and professionals from the media industry present with us today. Our sincere greetings to the esteemed co-organizers, Professor Amrish Saxena sir, Professor Sushmita Bala, along with the team DME and Dr. Vikrant Kishore from Nottingham University, Shanghai.
We are grateful for the presence of our respected Dean Ma'am, Professor Maithili Ganju, and KG Suresh sir, whose support and guidance has been instrumental in making this event a reality. All of our gurus' vision and dedication has paved the way for this conference, which aims to bridge boundaries and explore the diverse dimensions of cultural identity in the realm of media. I would like to extend an invitation to Dr. Kiran Bala ma'am, who is the head of department, JMC, to formally welcome the dignitaries and set the tone for the conference.
I can do things you cannot. You can do things which I cannot. And we can do great things. A very good morning to all of you with this quote of Mother Teresa. On behalf of Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, School of Media and Humanities, Manavachna International Institute of Research and Studies, I welcome you all. While we are hosting this world's first international conference across boundaries with hashtag Culture Identity for Diversity, ICAN6. A warm and heartfelt welcome to all of you, those who are gathered here in MRIA's campus to take this 7 days long conference, take this 7 days long academic discourse forward. On the 4th day of this conference, on this remarkable day, it's my honor to welcome you all, and I hope we'll continue with this journey of knowledge, innovation, and collaboration. ICAN is serving as a platform for media education and industry to converge, exchange ideas, and create new knowledge. I welcome all the dignitaries present here, Dr. Vikrant Kishore, Mr. Nimish Kapoor, Professor K.G. Suresh sir, Ms. Prachi Garg, Kalyani ma'am, Professor Amrish Saxena, Dr. Sushmita Wala ma'am, and we have been associated with them so long, and I welcome Dr. Ruhilal, our session chair, Dr. Manasvi Maheshwari, our session chair, faculty members, students, and research scholars from our university and other campuses. All of you, I hope you will bring a lot of experience, lot of knowledge, lot of research findings with you today. And throughout this conference, I think we'll learn from each other. So now when we are hosting, we are looking forward that next time when we'll be having this ICAN 7, we'll be having it at next level, because I have seen the journey of this conference from ICAN to ICAN 6 and hope to, go till 10, 11, 12, infinite. So I hope that the insights and expertise of all the panelists in today's panel discussions that we have planned, India's preparedness for SDG 3, health and science communication, I hope this will also shape the conversations and discussions around that we'll have in today's scenario. And I hope that whatever we will discuss today, that will help us in, improving our research, what our scholars are doing, what our faculty members are doing. I would like to express my gratitude to Manav Rachna Management, Vice Chancellor, DG Sir, DME Media School, those who collaborated us, our Dean, Dr. Mathili Ganju, for their support. They have provided us so much support that we are organizing this conference today. So once again, a very warm welcome to all of you. And I hope we'll have great learnings today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to all participants and wish you a fruitful and enriching experience at ICAN6. Let us embark on this journey of knowledge and discovery, united by the shared goal of advancing the field of media studies and shaping a brighter future for all. Now, I would like to request Kiran Bala ma'am to felicitate Dr. Vikrant Kishore sir. Now, I request Mathili ma'am to felicitate Mr. K.G. Suresh sir. I request Mathili ma'am to felicitate Ms. Kalyani Rajan ma'am. I request Mathili ma'am to felicitate Mr. Nimish Kapoor sir. Now I request Kiran Bala ma'am to felicitate Ms. Prachi Garg ma'am. Now I request Mathili ma'am to felicitate Mr. Amrit Saxena sir. Now I request Kiran Bala ma'am to felicitate Professor Sushma Bala ma'am.
Now I would request Professor Amrish Saxena sir to introduce the DME collaboration with Manav Rachna for ICAN. But before that, I would like to introduce sir. Sir is a journalist turned media educator. As a media practitioner, he has worked on all media platforms, print, radio, TV, films, and digital during his long career. He wears so many hats. He is a prolific writer, eloquent orator, an astute political analyst, and an authority on public policy and governance. He is an independent thinker and a development expert. He impresses as a teacher and influences as a mentor. Dr. Saxena has a master's degree in 4 subjects: political science, journalism and mass communication, law and management. At present, he is a professor and dean at the Media School of Delhi Metropolitan Education, DME, Noida, affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, New Delhi. He is also director, DME Studios and Production, director ICAN6 convener, DME NAC committee and director, international relations in DME. So please.
Thank you. All the dignitaries who are here, what to say, I mean, whether as a host or whether as a guest, I should start, because the way we have been proceeding, taking this ICAN forward, the international conference that we started in 2018. So obviously it was a modest beginning, but gradually things started expanding, growing, and during the corona period that was a roadblock, could be a roadblock, but then that proved something which helped us to grow. And in 2020, during the corona period, initially we had to put off the conference because it was in the 3rd week of March only when the national lockdown happened. So at the 11th hour we have to put it off, hoping that within a month or two the things will subside and we will be able to hold the conference, but that never happened. And finally we decided to have it completely in the online mode while everybody was sitting at home. That itself was a big challenge because that happened all of a sudden. Nobody was prepared how to handle that, but still we did that. So it came out to be a 10-day conference, because what happens when we are organizing a conference for 3 or 4 days, then multiple sessions are happening at the same time. But in online mode, we were having one session after another, so it turned out to be a 10-day conference, but that happened successfully. And the one big thing that happened, then we were able to connect to the scholars based in different countries. So that in fact gave us the idea that we can take it to beyond boundaries that way. In again 2021, we again planned it in the physical space. Then second wave happened during that time. Again we had to put off it for 2 months, and then ultimately we had to have it in the online space completely, again 10 days. Last year we tried to make it in a blended mode, in a hybrid mode, but then more sessions were in the online and less sessions were in the on-site space. This year we were determined to have more things in the physical space, and about 60-70% part of the conference is in the physical space, and 30% approximate is in the online space, particularly the sessions where the scholars are involved from different countries. Those sessions we are holding in the online space. One more thing that we tried to do this time, though we started that in the first edition only, we tried to have collaborations of different kinds with different educational institutions, with universities, with international organizations. Like in the very first edition of the conference, the UNESCO supported us, then this SIMCA supported us, So that continued, and from the second edition, Deakin University Melbourne has been the most solid partner with us, thanks to Dr. Vikrant Kishore, who was there in Deakin University. At the moment, he is in Nottingham University, China campus. So that also gave a lot of strength to the conference. And then every year, that number of partners continued to increase. I would also like to make a mention of Professor K.G. Suresh, who also has been with us right from the beginning while he was Director General of Indian Institute of Mass Communication. And since the time he has been the Vice Chancellor in Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism and Communication. Since that time also he has a very solid support to us. And this time when we decided to have it at different locations. So another location after this is Makhanlal Chaturvedi University, wherein we are having one-day session in 21st of July. So this was completely out of the box thing which came to my mind, but thanks to the support of all my friends and senior scholars, it appears happening. And this day, when we are in Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, so Professor Ganju and Professor Kiranwala, they extended a helping hand. That is how we decided to have it here. So this, I believe, with joint effort, this has written a new history as far as collaborations is concerned. Most of the time when we do something, collaborations are either on paper or it is for the sake of it. But we have translated it on the ground. And there are research scholars who have submitted papers for the conference. They have even made the presentations in DME. So this crisscross is happening, that research scholar of one place is making a presentation at another place, like in Makhanlal, the students of and the teachers of DME, and then scholars from different places, they are coming to Bhopal to make the presentations. So this is a different kind of beginning that we have made. And I hope that this will go a long way, the way we are proceeding, because today's world is that of collaborations. Alone, nobody can do anything, and ultimately, if this kind of collaboration is happening, this is ultimately to the benefit of media education, to media industry, and lot of such exchanges will happen, wherein we will be able to create a storehouse of knowledge. I must also make a mention that right from the beginning we did some very such kind of decisions that if a conference is happening, it should not be over simply by having some sessions. There has to be some storehouse of knowledge. So nothing go waste. That was the approach right from the beginning. And every time whenever ICAN is happening, we are producing at least 35 to 40 videos. And all these videos are being uploaded on YouTube. So if I go back and look at as to what all happens, or anybody would like to know as to what happened in which edition of ICAN, so there are at least more than 100 videos on the YouTube of different sessions and all. So that is why whenever we plan a session, whether it's a plenary or whether it's a panel discussion, it's all decided from the perspective of production. So always our production team in DME is very strong. So we always look into कि अगर ये event हो रहा है, हम इसको एक कैमरे से cover करेंगे, दो से करेंगे, तीन से करेंगे, what will be the location and all. So we work very minutely on such kind of things, so that the production quality is also good. If we have produced a video and it's uploaded on YouTube, it should be worth watching. So that is one important area. Another important area on which we worked right from the beginning, that was the production of books. So whatever paper presentations happen, and when the final paper is submitted, we publish it. So every year 4 or 5 books are being published. Till ICAN 5 we have published 24 books, so carrying at least 800 plus papers. So publication is again a very important thing in research and academics, so we try to take care of that aspect as well. and also the proceedings. Proceedings means the abstracts of the papers we publish separately, independent of these books. So those proceedings also come out with ISBN. So any scholar who is submitting a paper and making a presentation will get 2 ISBN publications simply by participating in the conference. So all that is has become possible. In the time to come, we will further try to take it to the next level with the support of all the people who matter in the field of media education, and with the support of all media educators, researchers in DME, in other institutions who have collaborated with us. ICSSR has also extended a helping hand. They have a policy that they provide the support after every second year. So in 2021 they supported us, but this time they supported us in a better way because they have that experience what all we did year before last. So this year again they came forward providing a helping hand, and that is how this ICAN6 is before us. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Before we move on, I would also like to introduce Sushmita Bala ma'am, who is also a co-convener of this conference. She is an accomplished teacher and trainer equipped with rich experience in the media industry and academics for more than 3 decades. At present, she is serving Delhi Metropolitan Education, Noida, as head of media school. She has taught in colleges of GGS IP University, MBICEM and WIPS. As visiting faculty, she has been associated with Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, YMCA Media Center and India Today Media Institute for a long time. She has 14 books to her credit as an author, co-author, chapter contributor and editor. She has presented more than 20 papers at national international conferences. She is a widely traveled person, having participated in conferences in China, Australia, the United States, Spain, France and Dubai. Thank you for coming, ma'am.
Now I request Dr. Vikrant Kishore sir for his keynote address. First of all, for that I would like to introduce sir. Dr. Vikrant Kishore sir is an associate professor in the School of International Communications at the University of Nottingham. He is an honorary fellow at the School of Communication and Creative Arts, Deakin University. He has authorized and edited books on Indian cinema, celebrity culture and intangible culture heritage. He is the Director, Postgraduate Research, School of International Communications, Director, Short Film Research Priority Area, the Institute of Asia and Pacific Studies, the University of Nottingham.
Good morning to you all, and thank you to you both for the nice introduction. And yeah, I didn't know I was doing the keynote, but I'll make it a keynote. Well, firstly, I acknowledge all who are present here. I pay my gratitude to all the esteemed guests, Vice Chancellor K.G. Suresh, Professor Mathili Ganju, and for Kiran Bala ma'am for inviting me, and for the long collaboration that Ambrish and Sushmita ji has bestowed upon us, which has been so fruitful and so energizing, and something which I keep looking forward to. It has been a pleasure that we have been able not only to continue this collaboration sitting there in Australia for 5 years, and now in the 6th year I'm there in Nottingham, and I'm also with Deakin still as an honorary there, and we continue to do work and bringing in Nottingham as well in the picture. So one of the key things which Amrish ji talked about was about collaboration, and it's also, you know, when I read something like here, Institute of Research and Studies, nothing warms my heart where the focus is on research, and an institute which, you know, says out loud that their focus is on research and studies. That should be the direction, because this is one thing which has been majorly missing in Indian media institutes. Okay, I'm not saying from India, but Indian media institutes. Why I say that? Because my grounding has been, I started my career in India. I started my career back with a television news channel, which I hate to watch these days, but still I'll take its name, Z News. I started with my career as a correspondent there, and then I moved into academia from teaching to LSR Lady Shri Ram College, to Rai University, to finally settling at IP College and heading its as an academic in charge of IP College, and having my own production house as well. And then about now almost 18 years back, I moved to Australia, and then I decided to stay there. And it gave me a good understanding and a kind of a good insight into being into a teaching zone, which was very much kind of a teacher-led kind of a study environment, of course, which comes from a very old tradition of Guru Shishya Parampara, which is good, which I really like. But going to Australia, I struggled a bit when I was teaching. In fact, it happened the day I reached Australia. My visa was granted a little late, almost 2 weeks late. And there, the universities have a policy: if you are teaching there, you need to be in your class. So I had some people to cover me, and then I was picked up by one of my colleagues, and I was straight away driven from the airport because I had a class. So instead of putting my bag in a place, I actually entered a classroom in Australia and delivered my first class straight away, wide-eyed, never been to Australia, and first thing I land there, I enter a class. I still don't know how I did that, and thanks to my colleague Simon Wilmot there, who actually covered most of the class for me, and I had to just do some of the introductory work. But then my relationship with Australia was very academic and still is academic, and good thing is, and one key thing which I could draw upon was that my particular grounding as a journalist and as a filmmaker, Australia gave me that opportunity to meld both the things, the theoretical aspect as well as the practice aspect. So I ended up working, while I was working with Deakin as a kind of on a contractual basis, I also started working for ABC for a project with December Films. Then I worked with SBS, which is another big news channel, and then I worked with Channel 7, which is one of the topmost commercial channel of Australia. So I got an experience of working with them and see the inside out of the industry. And then I ended up in 2018, while I was working as an academic, one of the good things was that as an academic, we were always pushed to work with the industry. So when we worked within the industry, one of the things was that I also got a whole lot of time to experiment. So I was the first person to actually create the first web series in Hindi in Australia. So Microdocs short web series based on factual stories about Indian Australians and their struggles and their adaptability in Australia as an Australians. And that was very well received, which started as a 3 pilot episode. I ended up making 18 episodes for SBS, which was very prestigious, and it showed me a path of the power of online media for micro storytelling. So when I see things like the focus of this conference on identity, culture, agenda-driven newscast, it's very, very loaded. It's very important. I carry my identity of being an Indian everywhere I go. In Australia, I take pride in saying I'm an Australian, and I take double pride in saying I'm an Indian Australian. And when I tell those stories, people are they take notice of that. The multiculturalism in Australia is increasing day by day, and the multicultural stories were very limited earlier when I went there, and now when I see in the span of 18 years, things have drastically changed, and multicultural representation and discussions around multiculturalism is becoming quite quite important, and lots of things are being done around it. Recently, I got a chance again while I was working. Mostly my area has been Indian cinema and intangible cultural heritage. Recently, I'm trying to move towards also about bringing back my journalistic activities, which I started with my own community news portal back in Australia called bollyos.com, and it was very well received. And recently, when I was approached by one of my colleagues, she's doing a edited book for Rutledge on sustainable journalism, And there was another conference which is happening right now in a month's time, IMCR's conference on journalism, where so I thought there is nothing being done in terms of journalism about the Indian Australian, or in a way ethnic Indian news media in Australia, because there are very many news portals back in Australia which lots of South Asians are running. And I could see, and as an ethnic media portal owner back in Australia, which we still continue to work with, I thought that it's time that we do some study. And research is always about finding something new or talking about something new and contributing. And I thought this is where I can contribute and talk about it. And when you start studying something new, there are new challenges. There are lots of challenges, and so I realized that I've just put my hand into something where there's hardly anything written about. Nobody has written about the Indian media in Australia, and how it is being captured, or how do they communicate with the diaspora, the Indian diaspora. So it was a good thing to look at the trajectory of journalism of ethnic Indian media in Australia, and see how they advocate about the community, what is the kind of support they have been doing. And mostly I found that the media is very run by sole traders, or people who just invest their own time and energy, and people who were former journalists, back in India, who were practicing journalists, and then they came to Australia. They couldn't find much, place where they could, because there was a kind of a blockage which people found to move on to the mainstream Australian media. In fact, that happened with me as well. So right, like the moment I was in Australia, within a couple of months, I ended up getting an ABC project, which was a huge documentary project. But I was brought into the project because I knew India. So I was the India specialist. And then the next project I get, again, it was Vikrant is the India specialist, so he gets a project with SBS. I get another project with Channel 7, Vikrant is the India specialist. So everything I was, typecasted, or, the kind of understanding of my particular expertise was all about that. If there is a project with from India, then probably, or subcontinent, probably Vikrant is the best person, let's get him. But beyond that, doing something Australian became a problem. Yeah, finding that kind of projects to be there, and that was the challenge of multicultural communities back there. So I can see the kind of work community, ethnic media has done that in Australia has been commendable, and that's where, the aspect of identity is to putting your identity at the forefront, taking pride of what you do, but also making sure that your identity doesn't become a part of that stereotypical image. It has to be challenged. Those stereotypes has to be challenged, and you have to work through those things. The second thing I wanted to address, and that has just gone, so culture. And one of the findings of my research, of advocacy, ethnic activism, and sustainable journalism. So that is one paper on sustainable journalism. So the UNESCO is really pushing forward for people to get aware of sustainable journalism. So in fact, people who are running journalism courses here, this is one area that you need to look at, sustainable journalism. And what is sustainable journalism? It's basically which talks about sustainability. Sustainability of environment, sustainability of culture, sustainability in terms of gender representation, So all these things intersect in some way or the other, and we all cover it in some way or the other, but we don't know this particular, title which has come recently, and UNESCO has endorsed, and it has been pushing it in last 2 years, 3 years. So the work in this area is very limited. And when I started talking to a whole lot of editors back from the ethnic Indian media, nobody understood what sustainable journalism is. And then I told them that it's about covering environment, it's about covering culture, it's about covering gender. And everybody said, oh, we are doing that, we are already doing that. So, and I said, okay, let's talk about that in those terms. So it became very interesting to see. And one of the biggest thing came about that the cultural aspect. Everyone who I interviewed, they felt that the diaspora connects very much with the cultural aspect, with their own Indian roots, and how they sustain the cultural practices back in Australia. There are good cultural practices which they sustain, and there are problematic cultural practices. And that's where my interest is, about the cultural baggage that they bring in terms of caste, in terms of dowry, in terms of many of those kind of discriminatory practices which whole lot of time we ignore, or we do not see, maybe because we are in that privileged position. And that's where I started taking an interest about these kind of cultural baggages and cultural practices which are discriminatory, and we started challenging those through our writings, through our kind of media making. And that's what one of the things is that how and why you should use media in an effective way, not only just to eulogize where you come from, not only just to talk about, oh wow, everything is good. When we are talking about India, we are just going to talk about Bollywood, we are going to talk about our curries, and we are going to talk about cricket, and that's it. And because that's the stereotype that most of the Western countries have. But then what is happening when a community, in Australia at the moment we are almost touching 1 million. So to be precise, as around 775,000 Indians in Australia. But if you combine the international students, it crosses 1 million plus. So the challenges are there, and these are things to be talked about, and we are doing it. There is a group of people, researchers, scholars, looking at various aspects, and not just are on a kind of a continuous celebrity mode. And that's where journalists come in. The work of journalists is, we do not have this kind of privilege to be in celebrity mode. We have to be always in a kind of a questioning mode. For us, it's questioning. Okay, and there are lots of researchers, as I was talking to Kiran ma'am, and she informed that most of the research students are going to come here today. So, I always find that whenever we talk about journalism, I always talk to my students about the responsibility we have when being a journalist, And in terms of, if I use a particular quote from, as you all know, Spider-Man, with, you must be knowing, with great power comes great responsibility. And when I see today so many of my colleagues here back in India, at editor position or all those things, and then seeing them spewing venom, hatred, the kind of agenda which really makes me uncomfortable. Not only uncomfortable, very, very angry. So angry that I've stopped watching Indian news media. It's that I just feel people I worked with, people I shared desk with, people, who I really respected, and suddenly in last 10, 15 years, what has happened? What is the credibility of media if it is all about sensationalization? Why it is so that it is all about, picking people and creating demons out of them? This is problematic. So as media students and as media academics, what is our responsibility? How do we get people interested in understanding the power they might have in future? How would they use that? Or what are the issues of misusing that? Now, of course, there are different things. It's not just one person who decides it. There are various factors, the ownership of media, who's in the command of the change, and who's running the agenda. There's lots of things. Lots of times people are, helpless, that they can't do anything because they are in that kind of system, which I understand very well. But what happens when you come into power? And I've seen people who would talk very highly about ethics, and then when I see them in that position of power, the ethics have gone for a toss. So what is media ethics? And this is another kind of talk which has come recently about, student work in terms of the research papers and all. And I've been part of a few PhD examinations all over the world. But when I see when I marked few PhD papers from India, from some universities, it has really pained me to send those back, because I found that the ethics was somewhat compromised. The research was not the way it should be. So again, coming back to institutes which focus on research, that's where we have to pay attention. I'm trying to combine a whole lot of my things, because I'm not here with a planned paper. So I'm just trying to share my experiences all across and see what I can connect here. And I'm not going to take more time, just 2 more minutes. And I just feel that with so much of exposure and so many media and so much interesting things happening across the world, we have got lots of opportunity. And one good thing for us to do, again, I'm going to come back to the first thing which Amriji talked about, is collaboration. So we are opening, both at Deakin University and at Nottingham, we are open to research collaboration, not only institutional wise. So in case if somebody is writing a paper, and if you are looking for someone to collaborate with you, you want someone experienced who can be your guide or mentor in your area, then you can always approach me. I can find you someone who can be a co-author, okay? Or just a supporting author, just to look through your structure, give some comments, feedback on things as to how you can improve, and then give you a kind of a opportunity to be published at those really well established international publication. Because at the end, for any publisher, scopus will matter. Your particular those kind of publications which are well recognized and which are very well distributed all across the world will matter. And as an institute, it is our responsibility again, that are we giving you that opportunity? So while we can take pride in having really good events and everything, but those kind of connections also have to be built in terms of output, as to is that output supporting the kind of effort that we are putting in creating these kind of events. So there has to be a kind of a synergy out there. And my last parting thing is that definitely I would be open to any kind of discussion. Happy to share my email, and of course you can ask Amrishji and Shushmita ma'am for my contact. I can find you partners, I can find people to collaborate with you. I can also connect you with various publishers. And another good thing was Amrishji showed me that he had a very interesting session during the conference on public publishing, and there was a very good US-based academic who was talking about it. And I could only see through it for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes, but I was so happy that that is happening, that those kind of attempts are being made to connect the students with really good researchers and getting them. And even the researcher from US, from Miami University, forgetting the name, Jyotika, and she is so widely published, and having people like them being here, nothing like that. It gives me really a huge pleasure to be among those kind of academics. And of course, seeing KG Suresh sir and Nimish ji just presented me with a book on science journalism and amazing science filmmaking, and the list of the kind of people who have written there, it's something incredible, and we need to see that more, and we need to take those collaboration forward. So I end with this. Thank you so much. Thanks to you, Ms. Karan, for inviting me. Thanks, Mathili ji, for inviting me here today. And we'll continue this discussion in future as well.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words.